What's up, everybody? It's Brandon from Box Office Banner at Cult Flick Symposium, and I had to get back at you guys after not being on here for 3 to 5 days, whatever the fuck it's been. Been a busy fucking week, but I do got some shit coming at y'all. I got Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. I'm going to have reviews out for those in, anticipation for the third one that's coming out on Friday. Then obviously the third one when that comes out, and I might go see The Black Demon. Don't quote me on that. But this one, of course, is on Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. Yes, I couldn't believe The Covenant went back to theaters, man, after all these years now. I don't know if y'all remember that movie. There was like this shitty movie called The Covenant that I saw way back in middle school, and I'm about to be 32 now, so that tells you how old it is. Write down the comments down below if you remember that movie, because I can't even remember what it was about. I remember there was like a symbol, I think, and that's all I remember. But this is a far different Covenant movie. We're talking about Guy Ritchie. Now, a little background on me. I'm not heavily into Guy Ritchie. I don't absolutely love his movies like some people do, but I can say he is at least consistent for me. Like, I'm always enjoying his movies, but even some of his best, whereas other people are like, oh my God, dude, loved it. I'm like, it was good. For me, he's just consistently good. Never really has that movie. It's like, Guy Ritchie, let's go, like that type of thing. Would it change here? This movie on paper, war movies hit or miss with me. I like the premise here, a little bit of that one-man army action. Love Rambo, but I didn't imagine this movie being too over the top. And a lot of times when you try to do over the top, at least by my taste, it does not work these days. Like there was something to that 80s nostalgia feel where you had somebody like fucking Sylvester Stallone where you almost believed them that they could go one on a fucking whole army. You believe that shit. Jake Gyllenhaal is my second favorite working male actor, but I still don't think I'd quite believe him going Keanu Reeves on people. So I'm kind of glad that this movie did not really veer into that direction. I will say that. Don't really think that's a spoiler, people. I think y'all got the gist, and it's not anything definitive within the movie. You could also disagree when you watch it, because this movie is a lot more grounded than I thought it would be. And it is a lot better, I think, because of it. Because even though the premise of a one-man army is going to happen, which we see in the trailer, you get it. These are the vibes you're sold in the trailer. But you at least know at some point it's going to be Gyllenhaal back against the wall. He has the whole thing in the trailer. It's like, I'm going to get him out. You know that's coming. There is some definite, as I said, grounded nature to this movie. It's a very, very slow movie in the beginning, but it's not a bad slow. This movie, I think, does a really good job of not getting us so caught up in every character, because sometimes when you try to all right, this is this guy's backstory, this is this guy's backstory, this is this guy's backstory, it's really hit or miss. You can grow with the group and you're like, damn, I love all these guys. I love them all. Or you can come away with it and just be like, man, I'm bored out of my mind. I don't care about these guys. So it's a risky, thin line to teeter-totter over. But this one somehow found a way, all while not making everybody in the crew of people within the military feel like it didn't make them feel too completely just anonymous or people that I don't even know these guys. Why would I care? But at the same time, it didn't dive deep into them. It did a very good job of not necessarily making you care deeply about everyone around Jake Gyllenhaal when he's going into this mission with, of course, the interpreter guy you see in the trailer. But yet you still somehow felt that camaraderie that made you really care without even having to dive into each character. Yeah, I can rhyme. And just have to go that route. You could just straight up, just from the vibes that it was selling and the nicknames and all that shit, without having to dive too deep into that to make this movie an even longer movie at 2.5 hours, which will make it drag because it's already 2 hours. It sold you that on the camaraderie that you bought into and believed in right away. Love that about it. I'll say this about the movie too. The music in this movie, very, very well placed. I mean, it seems like almost every other scene has music in it. And it is constantly making you feel some type of way, maybe emotionally, or it's driving the scene forward by making the action scenes more riveting, or hearing that little music pick up, and you're like, oh shit, is it about to go down? And maybe it doesn't go down, but then all of a sudden you pick it up again, and it catches you off guard. You're like, oh shit, it is going down. That's why the music is on right now. Very, very well-placed music. And if you're somebody like me music can carry like a damn near a whole movie, man. Like this movie is absolutely carried by the music. That's not to say that the movie itself is bad. There's a good movie here, but the music undoubtedly amplifies this movie up a whole nother notch. Now, going back to talking about it's slow and we don't really jump in all these people, even though it's slow, like you're really getting to know and selling the vibes, all while not giving the character away too much. Jake Gyllenhaal's character, and watching him go through it with this team, all while pretty much solely focusing on him, but again, not diving too deep into everybody else to where we admittedly probably won't care unless this is just like a knock it out of the park movie where we care about every character. Again, they were able to skip over that. We were getting the vibes. We were getting that. So you were interested. You're engaged. And then you come along and you get this interpreter who you've seen in the trailer that was inserted in for some reason I won't reveal. And he comes into the mix. And you're immediately getting vibes here that, like, I don't know. It's almost like one of those, like, relationships where it doesn't feel completely, like, stern and firm. Like, this is, like, just like they're not going to get along right away. You know, this movie's very, very much not cliche, which I really respect. It's another big up for it. But it's not like they hit it off right away, but it's also not like going to do the classic, oh, you're on my shit list, and then out of nowhere you win me over like most movies do. It has a nice balance with their characters where sometimes you're like, oh, man, like he's giving him shit right now, but that's what, you know, like a sergeant would do. A sergeant would be like, nah, what did I say? Like just kind of test you, mess with you, but he's going to have your back in the field. Very good job on that front and watching their relationship grow and develop. And the more you kind of slowly get peeled back into what the interpreter or who the interpreter is and what he's capable of and all that shit is very interesting. You know, they don't, again, make it go full on Rambo, but the guy is, you know, he's not quite just an interpreter. It doesn't have to lay everything all there out there for you. But the guy, you know, he even says in the trailer, you know, that is in the trailer. He's like, you're just here to, you know, tell us what the other people are saying. Like, what's the other word for it? God damn. Forgetting the word. You're here to translate. There you go. And he's like, actually, I was told to come here to interpret. I believe that's in the trailer. And you're kind of like, ooh, kind of got him there. That is in his job title. And he kind of becomes a thorn in the side of Jake Gyllenhaal, all while proving himself at the same time. I won't dive too much into that, but it's kind of fun to watch play out. And watching this shit play out the way it does, what you see in the trailer, how Jake Gyllenhaal he just feels like he has to go back and save this interpreter. He earns that through and through, dude. This, like, when he's got to do what he's got to do in the mix of everything, I won't talk about what happens exactly, but watching everything he went through to make sure Jake Gyllenhaal is just peachy fucking keen at the end of this, it is pretty fucking fun and great to watch. I enjoyed the hell out of it. There's a lot of intense scenes that ratchet up during those moments. And again, the realism here, I think, is really, really well done. I don't know what it is about this movie. Maybe it's the way they earned it. Maybe it's the way, instead of like it feeling like a movie where we got to look at like, okay, now we got his backstory almost feels like you're dropped into this war zone and you're watching it play out. There's some authenticity feeling wise here that when you're watching it, now I can't speak from personal experience. I was never in a war, but from the outside looking in, again, huge outside looking in confession, obviously, but it feels more, you know, like less Hollywood, almost like if you love Gyllenhaal like I do, almost like an end of watch kind of feel where it's not like, you know, just shaky cam, fucking bullshit like that, but it's your like it feels almost like you're watching it through your own lens, like you're there, you're going through the motions with them. It has such a real feeling to it, and the bond that these guys kind of form almost even quietly, because it feels like they almost don't even say shit to each other the whole movie. It feels so earned, and I feel like it definitely shows, at least again, what I can imagine, just the way that like military people, you hear they say like, you know, that guy's family forever, that guy, I got his back through and through, all that good shit. I feel like you feel that in spades here, and it maybe you obviously can't identify with it unless you've been through another tragic experience, something as tragic as war with somebody, but it does sell you those vibes very well if any movie ever has, of just like what that would be like. You know what I mean? Like looking at it from the outside looking in, like, damn, I can definitely see through watching this movie and it visually painting this like masterpiece, masterclass on this, how that would really, just make me feel indebted to somebody, to feel like no matter what, I have to be there for them. It doesn't matter if they were strangers yesterday. Y'all went through hell and back together, and I am there for my brother. That's my brother in arms. That's my brother forever. Nothing will ever change that. I will forever mourn him if he goes. I will always have his back if he needs it. Those kind of things and the bonds that can be built through just tragedy and tragic when your back's up against the wall and you see who the guy really is and you know there's nothing to hide because you know what that guy will do for you. That is very intense, and it's played very intensely in this movie, and it's done damn near perfectly, if not perfectly. Everything after, it does kind of slow down a little bit after we get to the point where Jake Gyllenhaal has to go back. But at the same time, it doesn't, because it's weird. Like, it takes a slowdown compared to the intensity that we just had, but it ratchets it up and makes the scenes feel a little more intense with, the music and the stakes of him having to figure out how to get him out of there or carrying the slower scenes. Again, that music. And speaking of music, there's one musical cue in this movie that I don't know what it was, but it gave me chills almost. You see it in the trailer where Jake Gyllenhaal, he gets hit in the head and his ears ringing, that blood streak comes down his head. The music that plays right there, it's just, I can't explain it. It's like sad, but almost happy sounding at the same time. And it's almost like that was a musical cue to just like almost tell the audience and to bring us into the pain and, almost odd, like joy, like the ability to like find joy in being able to like put yourself on the line, like a purity, not necessarily joy, but the purity of the song as well. Like it was a scary feeling, but also we're inserting the purity of the character who's going to take him over when Jake Gyllenhaal's character is, at his most vulnerable and just do anything for him. That musical cue almost set that up perfectly, at least to me. Like it set a whole vibe, and I could not get that sound out of my head. And I actually sat in the theater with the credits for a while, and that song came back on right as I was leaving. I was like, shit, I might have to sit back down, because that musical cue for me, for some reason, dude, just home run. The wife in this movie was not utilized a lot at all, but I thought she was really good in the few scenes she was in. She didn't overstep her boundaries. Again, this movie, masterclass on making us care about characters, all while not having to divulge too much into them and their storylines. She was great. There's one particular scene where I was like, oh no, they're gonna do the whole thing we've seen a million times. Not necessarily oh no, because like every movie needs this, but I was ready for the wife to go a certain direction with something, and I was like, oh man, she's gonna do this, this, and this, and do this. I get it why she do that, but they gotta fucking watch her and watch this play out like I've seen in every other movie. But she completely flips on its head. She goes the other way. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, I like that. I respect that. To go a different direction, to go a different feel. Even if it's like the smallest thing. You do enough of those small things like that scene and add up, it starts to make your movie feel a little more original. And this movie has that. This is probably one of my favorite war movies in a long time. I expected this to be good, borderline great, but this was surprisingly emotional. It never really had that like scene that like really took me over the edge emotionally, which I would have gave it. I was hoping for that. I was hoping for that scene, but it definitely has you in your feelings where you're thinking and you're like, man, just imagine that type of emotional throughout. It's got really good pacing for how long it is. And even when things aren't going on, it seemingly still has you engaged. The characters are amazing. It's very well acted. Again, the music was great. It was very intense. This movie has everything. This movie surprised the shit out of me. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant is damn good. One of the best war movies I've seen. I am shocked at how much I love this movie. Like I said, if we would have got that one just like, oh my God, they'd have brought me to tears at the end, standing ovation type of moment, I think it would have got that 9.5 and easily been my favorite movie of the year. But right now, this slides into second. I might have to think about it, though. It's right on par with John Wick 4, which I absolutely love. But it's a 9.2 out of 10 as of now. And it really kind of floored me. I was not expecting it to be this good. Pleasantly surprised on that front because it was so damn good. And in saying that, people don't think that means the endings are one huge emotional punch at the end. wasn't good. The ending's still emotional. It just isn't like, oh my God. Like I wanted, like, I don't know. It's like I had like a bunch of like well up type feelings and I wanted to release that in one just like cinematic, emotional glory moment. It was just like, damn, they just went full masterpiece. I'm weird like that, right? But instead it just was more like, yeah, yeah, damn, man, that's, But it was, it was that, yeah, yeah, not like, yeah, yeah, like, fuck, this sucks. It was like, yeah, yeah, like, that's good stuff. Man, that is, oh my God, the camaraderie right there. Again, with that word camaraderie, where it's like, not gonna say it, but like it's like a nod type moment, like giving you my nod of approval. Perfect, perfect ending, but it could have been perfecter, I think, with like, I don't know. I just wanted that, like, I feel like it was it was one of those like everything else was connecting on all cylinders. I wanted that moment where I was like, bring me to fucking tears and just bam, stamp of approval, best movie of the year, won't even be dethroned. Had that chance, but it still was gone. I don't see any way possible this leaves my top 10 of the year, top 5 even. Like I wouldn't be shocked if it could finish as my number 1. It really could, because John Wick, it's teeter-tottering with this one right now. Going to be tough to beat either of those movies. We got 2 just absolute bangers already. I'm pissed I saw this late. Go check out The Covenant now. Do it. It's so good if this is your type of movie or just in general. Just trust me. Great movie.